Hi, welcome along to AFTV for another AFTV News. I'm joined by Turkish on the couch today. Hope you guys are having yourself a great day. You know what, Turkish, it feels like an age since we had a game of football.
Yeah. We've got to get used to that now. We've got to get used to it. All we got is the league.
I can't get used to it, man. I can't get used to it. I want games, you know what I mean? This is one of the reasons why I want to see Arsenal get back into European football, because, you know, if you're a Man City fan tonight, you know, you got Champions Leagues, United fans have got... We haven't got, you know, no football.
United have actually got Brighton tonight instead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, they got Brighton.
But they've got Champions League next week.
They got Champions League next week. We've got to get back into Europe, man, I'm telling you. But...
What Europe
yesterday.
do you mean? Do you mean...
Champions League, man. Champions League. I don't want no Europa League. Well, listen, Europa League's better than nothing, but I don't want Europa League either. I want to be in the Champions League, and we've got a chance for it this season.
We do. I mean, we won on the weekend and we didn't even play. So that's how I'm looking at it. We won, we didn't play. Tottenham lost the last two. United have drawn the last two. We're winning at the moment, you know. The Wolves result was a big one. You see what Wolves done to Tottenham. So at the moment, the light is still there because of how poorly the competition's doing.
I don't really catch up with you on it. What did you make of the performance? Well, you were there at the game. What did you make of it? I
think, first and foremost, credit where credit's due. We've seen Wolves perform against the big teams throughout this season, before and after our game. You see what they've done at White Hart Lane. Listen, Wolves have beaten United at Old Trafford. They've beaten Tottenham at White Hart Lane. 1-0 losses to Man City and Liverpool. They're a good side. They're actually quite an underrated side. Their manager, they've got a few underrated players. So I think coming out, you know, Molineux with 3 points.
10 men.
10 men, and after the January window we had and the dark cloud that was over the squad in terms of lack of investment, what we're going to do with the striking situation, to come out with 3 points, amazing. And then the results around it, even more amazing. And that's what we've got, you know, we've got to do what we can, but also we've got to hope that the rest continue to falter.
And do you enjoy the...
Don't ask.
The Super Bowl at the weekend.
Listen,
was you watching?
I stayed up for UFC on Saturday. I didn't stay up for no Super Bowl on Sunday. I needed my rest.
Come on, you must have watched a little bit.
Nah, what a little bit highlights? Of what? No highlights, no nothing. I just seen a picture when I woke up of Kroenke smiling, and I put my phone down. With the trophy. Down. Yeah, and I put my phone down.
But do you think the fact that, you know, I'm going to get into it a lot more later. Actually, let me save it. I'm saving it for later.
Cool.
I'm saving it for later. Because I do want to ask, because even Josh Kroenke's come out and said a few things as well. I want to get your opinion. We're going to save that till later on, right? But what I want to first of all talk about is we're getting linked with a lot of players now, Turkish.
As it happens when the window's not open, we get linked to every Tom, Dick and Harry.
But this summer is going to be huge for Arsenal. When you think about the amount of players that are going to be gone, there's going to be no... Obviously, we know Aubameyang's gone already.
Yeah.
Lacazette's going.
Yep.
Eddie Nketiah. El Neni. Jury's out with a Xhaka. I mean, there's Roma, the rumours of Roma. I get the feeling he'll move on this summer. You could see 5-6 players go through the door. We've already seen Chambers go and players like that. We're going to be really, really thin on the ground. That's number one. We've got loads of money off of the wage bill. Yep. That's number two. I mean, I really do get the feeling that this summer, Arsenal are going to spend a lot of money and bring in a lot of players. And we're getting linked to a lot of players. Now, one of the players we're being linked with at the moment is that Broja.
Yeah.
Have you seen him? Obviously, you would have seen a lot of him. He's a Chelsea player, but he's on loan at the moment at Southampton. He's been having a really good season. Played really well against Man United. You know, I mean, he's a handful. He's quick. He's got an eye for goal. What do you think of that link? And also, you know, what do you think in the summer? You optimistic that we're going to do a lot of business in the summer?
Am I ever optimistic, Robbie? When it goes over to them to do business, I'm never optimistic. But I'm willing to be happily surprised. That's the thing. Prove me wrong. That's what I keep on saying. I can only judge the Kroenkes and our windows off of what we've done. I can't judge it off what I hope it to be, because I've hoped it to be different for the past 10 years and it never is. But you're right, this summer now, it's probably our biggest summer off the top of my head since probably 2016, where we finished second in the league. We had a decent enough squad there, and we went and bought Mustafi, we went and bought Xhaka, we went and bought players that kind of held the club back for the next 4 or 5 years. We're at a stage now where a lot of that dead wood's been cleared. Wage structure, you know, two out of the last 3 Januaries we've been told we can only loan players because of the wages. Well, now we seem to be in a better place financially, wage structure, all of that. So this summer has to be the summer they do it. But we do say this every year. This summer's a big one.
Different this year, though, isn't it?
You'd hope so. You'd hope so. We can. It's
And,
only
and to be fair, they did buy a lot and spend a lot last summer.
They did, whilst also putting 100 million debt on the club, which goes under the radar. So they spent 150 million playing wise, but put 100 million of debt onto the club, which maybe later on down the line they sort out themselves, or maybe later on the line it's down to Arsenal to pay that back. We'll see. But at the moment, I can't give full credit for that 150 mil, because after 10, 15 years of taking the utter piss out of us, 150 mil is not enough. One summer window is not enough. It's not enough even if you win the league, Rob. If you win the league, you know, it's not enough to just stand by and watch others improve. Yes, last summer we was the highest spenders, but at the same time we're coming from 8th place 2 years in a row. So we're going to have to continue this spend wisely. It's not just about spending money, it's about doing it wisely. Because we spent money on Xhaka, we spent money on Mustafi, we spent money on Ozil contract, Oba contract. They've come back round to bite us. We need to spend money right now.
What about Broja then?
I like him. The only thing I worry about is age, but let's just talk about what I like. I mean, you've mentioned he's a handful. I mean, he can hold up play, he's physical, he's instinctive, and that's what I like about him. He's an instinctive striker, similar to what I thought Lacazette was coming in, where if he gets a chance, left or right foot, he's banging it. He's having an effort on goal. That's what I like about him. His age is something that I look at and
He's 20, isn't it? 21.
20, yeah, turning 21. And we've already got a young squad. But we need 2 strikers minimum. So potentially one of those strikers being young.
Did you see, sense. I mean, I've seen all the rumours and that though, but Chelsea, would they, I mean, we say that, but I do think last season they were willing to sell Tammy Abraham, who, by the way, he's gone to Roma and he's been playing really, really well. I remember Chris Hudson was a big advocate for bringing in Tammy Abrahams. So, you know, I think if they would be willing to sell him. They want a lot of money for him, though. Yeah. Well,
off the top of my head, I think he's started 12 games this season, come off the bench a few, 20 overall. He scored 6 goals. So as much as it's a good start to his, career, he's very young. I don't think they can ask for, much more than, let's say, a 30 mil, and that would probably be pushing it.
Yeah, that should be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the year before he was at Vitesse, 30 games, 10 goals, a couple assists, which is not out of this world numbers, but it's decent numbers. It's gradual. So
yeah, he's improving.
I think he won't be a...
and let's not forget, he's a very young player still.
Yeah, very young.
I like him. I think, a bit like what you said, he's not your guy to start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's but as a developing, emerging player, wouldn't be the worst bit of business, as long as that weren't the answer.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be, but I don't know what you guys think out there. I want to hear from you guys. Ozef says with a super chat, he says, if we don't get Champions League football after this summer's investment, Spurs and United sputtering for long stretches, I'll be absolutely gutted. He goes, I think Kroenke called Arteta to Colorado 2 weeks ago, warning him Champions League or you sacked. Do you reckon?
I hope there is some sort of targets and accountability, and that would be it. So I hope that is something that was mentioned, because the light is there, Rob. We can all see it. This is coming from someone at the beginning of the season, and I'm quoted a lot in the comment section, so I'll clear this up. Beginning of the season, I said bare minimum this season, based on what we've done and looking at the other sides, is challenge for top 4. And when I say challenge, I mean March, April, maybe heading into May. That's a challenge, not January, February. Now, things have changed. That challenge and that assessment was based off of Man United, Man City, Liverpool and Chelsea all doing their thing. It happens that Man United are not doing their thing. So now we look at it and I say, well, top 4's there for us now. We're out of FA Cup, we're out of League Cup. Let's go for it. January, they didn't do the business that indicated they are going for it. But hopefully, like I said, if the other teams continue to falter, we are the ones that can nick it. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need to nick it and get in there, maybe undeservedly, before we turn the corner.
Toss as long as we get in
there. Exactly.
Ash says, do the Kroenke draw parallels between Sean McVay, who of course is the head coach of the LA Rams who won the Super Bowl, and Arteta. They built a team based on youth and togetherness and won, so why can't it work for us?
Different sports, different restrictions.
Excuse me.
Different, Josh Kroenke done that interview you mentioned recently, and he talked about how different the sports are, how COVID impacted football and how COVID didn't impact American sports because the deals they have are in place, and a chunk wasn't taken out because of COVID, whereas in the Premier League, games behind closed doors, that revenue has been taken out. So it's very different. That's just one example. Salary cap's another. Draft picks are another. In America, if you're failing, you tend to get a reward by a higher draft pick. I'm not an expert on it, but I used to watch a lot of NBA. I used to love NBA, but I grew out of it. But that helps the side. I know Kroenke's traded in his next 4 draft picks and whatever for Odell Beckham, but you don't pay for draft picks. Draft picks are draft picks. And you don't have that in football or in soccer.
Yeah, but what the parallel he's saying is the coaches, right? Sean McVay's a young coach, right? And Arteta's a young coach. They're both coaches that people are talking about and saying could be the next big thing. Sean McVay's proved he's the next big thing already. Could Arteta be... Why? I mean, are we seeing the reason why they went for Arteta? Because they're looking for that mould.
Yeah, you can see the reason why, because they're likening it to their American franchises and sports, and a couple of them are doing well over there. So you can see why they think this would work in football, but you need more in football. This is a different market to America. So yes, it looks good on paper, young side, young manager, young DOF, and hope for the best, but you need more to that.
But when you look on it, all right, let me put this to you, right? So the LA Rams, all right, so one of the things we always used to say is look at the Kroenkes. They own all these teams, they've never won anything.
Yeah.
They're a bit like Spurs, they were before, never won nothing. But now they've won the biggest prize in American sport. Is you can't get higher than what they've done by winning the Super Bowl, right? Ticked off, yeah? Their ice hockey team, which ice hockey is huge in America.
Avalanche, isn't it?
The Avalanche, they're the favourites at the moment to win the Stanley Cup, which again is like they're big, like winning the Premier League in ice hockey.
Yeah.
They're the favourites, they're doing brilliantly this season. Their teams are starting to do well, starting to win things. Could that translate into Josh Kroenke in his interview said, I want, the fans over here to have a look at some of our American teams and what we've been doing. And now that we own 100% of Arsenal, that's what we're looking to do with Arsenal. Can you kind of look positively? I know you've been a massive critic of the Kroenkes over the years, but is that not something that at least you can look at and say to yourself, you know what? All right. Maybe these guys might be changing.
It's a bit of give and take, Rob. Josh Kroenke's interview, he actually spoke well. He comes across better than he has done in previous, but when we delve into it, I'll pick out why I didn't like parts of it. But in all honesty, you look at the other sides that are doing well, and like I said, it swings and roundabouts in American sports. You get rewarded for failure at times through draft picks. In football, there's a ceiling to what you can achieve with a young squad and a young manager and a young... If I ask you, the youngest side to win Champions League or the youngest side to win the Premier League, it's, off the top of your head, it's very difficult to remember a young side that has an average age of 23, let's say, or 22, that have won major honours in football.
But what he's saying is, that's sort of the first part of it.
Culture, he said.
Now, what he's saying, look at our American teams, we've kind of done that with them. Kind of the young players, different culture at first. Then we've added. So, like you said, then you add the Odell Beckhams and experienced people like that, like what they've done with the Rams. Maybe they're going to add something in the summer, which then...
So would it be this summer then? It has to be.
It has to be this summer, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I hope people out there saying the same thing, because these owners have gotten away with far too much over the years, and every season starts and it's like the slate is clean for them. If this is the summer that what Josh Kroenke is saying is meant to come to light, then make sure us as fans hold them to account if it doesn't, because we can't keep cleaning the slate for them. Remember, he said be excited in 2019, but he's never come back to explain what happened in the next 2 years. So what? He can say something, 3 years later come out and no one questions him about the rubbish he told us in 2019. This is my problem with journalists too. Ask the questions that the fans want to ask. You told us be excited in 2019, Josh. What happened, mate?
All right. Will Hayes says Turkish, the best football knowledge on AFTV. Benny says, would a salary cap in the Premier League help to create a more competitive and exciting league? And would it hurt English club stock and their chances in Europe.
I think salary cap should have come in before FFP. I think it would have helped massively and would have stopped Man City.
Salary cap should have come in instead of.
100%.
That whole FFP rubbish.
Yeah.
Nobody ever adheres to. You know what I mean? I think a salary cap would be good, but I think now
it's too far gone.
I think you've got clubs now that have got so much money and so much self-interest that they would not allow that to happen.
Yeah.
I think football would have to crash before that was even considered. And it's not looking like it's going to crash anytime soon. Lubert says, Robbie, I felt that Kroenke used Arsenal to build his LA Rams and use Arsenal's income. I felt his main target was just the US. He's selfish. What do you think to that, Turkish? I've seen those suggestions that, we built that stadium with our money at Arsenal. We've helped to put that team together with the money that we spent at Arsenal.
Partly true. It's partly true. If you look at what he's done with Arsenal, he's used us as an asset to take out loans, to use us as collateral. So that's part of it. I'm not saying Arsenal fans are the reason that stadium is there, because he's got other franchise entities that bring in money. He's a billionaire. But we partly funded that. And you can see that through what he's done with Arsenal as a business over the time. It's not like he's used us as a business to invest in. He's used us as a business to invest in other businesses. And so far, that's what it looks like. It looks like we're helping him pay for other franchises.
Okay, Benny says also the Stanley Cup is the hardest championship to win in all sports. That's the thing with the Avalanche too, if they win it. So that's very difficult to win as well, he's saying.
They were favourites last year and they didn't win. So that shows it is a difficult match.
It shows that he's got top teams though. All
of a sudden.
They're challenging.
Yeah, but
the thing we keep saying is we want to see us challenging.
Yeah. You can see how happy Kroenke was when they won the Super Bowl. Do you think he's going to be that, do you think he's got that affinity to the Champions League or to the Premier League? He doesn't.
Obviously not, because he's American, right? So I think we have to be real and say that, if we owned a club in America, we'd want to win the Super Bowl, but we probably want to win the Champions League first or the Premier League. So that's only natural. But surely that he's had a taste of winning now. He's won the big one. But he might want to say to himself, I want to go Europe now and lift the Premier League or lift the Champions League. Don't you even think that maybe he might think to himself, I want to be able to go in front of these fans and I lift up the Premier League and not get booed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because he could turn fans around, could he?
Winning.
Do you think he could turn fans around? Do you think he could ever turn the fans around from where they are,
Arsenal fans have never really been wholeheartedly against Kroenke, and I mean this as a whole. So yes, he can turn fans around because fans haven't completely turned against them yet. One protest after Super League doesn't indicate that fans are against him. So for me, he's still being allowed clean slates year after year. So yes, he has the opportunity to turn it around because us fans continue giving them the opportunity to turn it around.
Okay.
I've got let me just, because I took some notes down about the Josh Kroenke interview, and there's a few.
Okay, well, let's. All right. So I was going to talk about Gnabry. We'll talk about Gnabry in a bit. Let's talk about Kroenke then, because I know you've been itching.
Yeah.
Look at the paperwork.
I got a couple sheets.
All right.
Cool. The first thing I picked out. Quote, Josh Kroenke, I listen to our fans here in America with our teams, but the level of passion that is involved in European football and support that goes into these clubs is way deeper than anything we have over here. It is hard to truly relate as an American or a foreigner heading into the UK, the passion that really goes on from the people that support these clubs. Now, why are you saying this 16 years into ownership? Why are you only coming to realise how important our football club is to us fans 16 years after your first initial involvement in the club? It shouldn't take that long. But all of a sudden,
because they were never really involved up until recently.
Well, who's that on? It's not on us.
No, that's on them.
That's on them.
And I think the Super League thing woke them up, innit? Because it woke not just them, it woke up. Remember, we saw all the videos of the various owners apologising. There was the guys at Liverpool having to say sorry, the Kroenkes, everybody. They were all having to grovel to the fans. I don't think any of them expected to be in that position. They were all really shocked.
Yeah.
Especially the American owners, because in American sports, as I said, it's a lot different. It was Kroenke who lifted the Super Bowl. They don't even hand it to the captain or to the manager of the team. They give it to the owner. That's the owner is all. He rules. He rules. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, in football in this country, the fans rule. Yeah. In a way, you know what I mean? Even though we don't really, but you get what I'm saying.
That's my thing. It's taken them long enough to realise the basics of football. The basics of football is, you know, working class environment. It's come from grassroots. You know, it's the people's game. That's how, you know, people in England, Europe see football. It's taken them long enough to realise that, and they've used this. They've used COVID. Josh also used COVID when he was talking about the impact of COVID. He said that the Super League came off the back of that. Now, COVID first suspended games and behind the scenes March 2020. So for him to say an agreement to Super League in April 2021, about 12 months after, didn't come about way before COVID.
They've been cooking it up for a.
Thank you.
This is just my opinion on the Super League thing. Is that they've been cooking it up for a long time. I think they were hoping to kind of have a form of the Super League in conjunction with the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then when that became clear that the Champions League, UEFA weren't going to go for that, then they just went away and said, right, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's what
that's my opinion on it. Joshua says, big up fellas, how much debt are the LA Rams in?
Oh, I don't know that. Yeah.
I don't know that.
I'm getting my head around Arsenal's finances. It's long to start doing Rams and Avalanche and all of these.
Well, with that stadium, they must be in a lot. That stadium's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Chad says, this is why I rate Turkish. Always speaks sense and takes his job serious. I don't know about that.
Come on, Rob. Listen to the people, man. That's who you listen to.
Ash says, this is an interesting one from Ash here.
Yeah.
He says, many Arsenal fans wanted Usmanov and Mashiri to buy Arsenal. Mm-hmm. But if you ask Everton fans, they now think they're a joke. Did we dodge a bullet there? Now, that is a great point, Ash, because at the time, I'll include myself in that. I was like, give Usmanov a try. Let Usmanov take it over. He's going to spend money. But they've made a right mess of things up at Everton, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare them to what the Kroenkes have done in recent time, their philosophy, I mean, they've kind of gone all in, spend. They've brought in big managers in Ancelotti, and it's been, they've got problems in the league. They don't butt their ideas like they could be in a relegation fight.
100%. But the thing is, Usmanov, number one, he said he's an Arsenal fan. And number two, Everton are a different club to Arsenal. You know, coming into Everton, you're trying to invest to get them to the level of the big six. At Arsenal, you already have a club that's in the big six. So attracting players, spending, bringing in a manager that might not be coming just for the payday, might be coming to turn things around, is easier at Arsenal than an Everton. Everton is about building from the ground up. With Arsenal, it's about coming in halfway and sorting out the mess. But at the same time, look, it could be a Man United situation. I like an Usmanov and Mashiri to the Glazers where it's money, but it hasn't worked. But at least their owners are giving them something to hope for. Yes, we look at the table now and we see Everton's a laughingstock, but over the last 4 years, their owners have tried to, or 3-4 years, have tried to give Everton fans and Everton Football Club moments of ambition. It just hasn't worked so far. Whereas at Arsenal, have we had those moments?
Yeah, but have they got a plan? And is this the thing that Josh Kroenke's saying, right, look at it. Look at some of our American franchises. We've got a plan in place here. All right, you may not be seeing the full fruits of it now, but we've got a plan. Brought in a young progressive manager. We're going for younger players first to build a new identity to this club, and then later, the plan's not finished yet.
Yeah.
Whereas with Everton, they got a load. It looks to me, from the outside looking in, they got a load of money, but no plan.
Yeah.
They've just went, but it ain't worked.
I'd agree with you there. And yeah, there is an argument to be made that Usmanov would have been no better. I think that argument is very loose. I think he would have been better in terms of giving us fans something to hope for and an owner that actually has ambition. But at the same time, it hasn't worked at Everton. It might not have worked for us. And I actually give the club and Arsenal, Arteta, Edu and Kroenke, whoever it is, credit for the overhaul in the past year and a half. January 1st, after the Man City game, I mentioned there's a cultural change. I didn't mean cultural change from Kroenke. I didn't mean cultural change from the club. I meant cultural change on the pitch. 2 years ago, I'm looking at Mustafi, Ozil, Kolasinac, Xhaka, Holding, and so on, and I'm very disconnected from them. Now I look at the side, and from the young players, Smith Rowe, Saka, and Martinelli, to the new ones, Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, and whoever, there's a connection. So there is a change, and they deserve credit for that. Maybe not Kroenke, but Arteta, Edu, in turn, I guess they was hired by Kroenke. There's a plan there, young. It's just, listen, we've had a young squad before, and we had a legendary manager in charge of that young squad, and this ownership didn't back him and didn't back the squad. So what makes me believe that they're going to do differently with Arteta that they did to Wenger?
Did you see what he said in his statement, Josh Kroenke, about they've only really owned all of it since 2018? Now, I, in the past, have always made the point that, yeah, but you own most of it.
Yeah.
So you were still able to make all the decisions. It's still your club. It's still... And I was chatting to Julian one day, and Julian made the point, and I guess we don't look at things this way because they're looking at it as a business. We're looking at it as our football club. But Julian made the point that if you're a businessman and you've got big plans for something, but you only own like 70% of the business, you're not really getting on with the people that own the other percentage of it. You're not going to go all out because you're going to have to split that. You know, if 30% of that is going to have to go with the people who are not backing your plans, that are not interested in your plans, that basically want to get you out. So that kind of holds you back a bit. And I'd never really thought of it completely in that way. But when he said that, I'm like, actually, yeah, I see the point in that. And from a business point of view, business now, listen, me and you are always going to look on it completely different because we're fans. But from a business point of view, does that make sense what he's saying now? That he's saying, right, now it's all ours, it's all our decisions, it's all our plans. Does that make sense, or do you think you still don't really give him a pass for that?
I guess business and greed can go hand in hand. So I'd say, yeah, it makes sense business-wise if you're a greedy owner. Because I look at Osmanov and what he used to say, and as a 30% shareholder, he used to plead to be on the board and to be allowed to, flex some of the money he has. And I feel like if you allow him to do that, surely you reap the benefits as the 60% majority shareholder. But they never allowed that to happen. They never allowed him on the board. They never allowed none of it. So it was like they was at loggerheads the whole time. So it just feels like Arsenal was held hostage until they managed to get 100% ownership. That's why, yeah, it's all good and well Josh saying, judge us from 2018. But how about you open up honestly and hold yourselves to account about the previous 10, 12 years before that? Don't just brush it under the carpet and act like we're wrong for looking at it. Mention that you're full owners from 2018 and the change that's happened in finances and whatnot. But also don't forget what you've put us through for the 12 years before that. If it was a case of we wanted majority ownership first before we build, then tell us flat out that that's what it was. Don't just, act like we're stupid and just tell us to judge from 2018, because how can I do that? You lot took over, you lot first showed interest in 2006.
Sea Soldier S says, shout out Big Turkish. Seema says, if you've not been watching Arsenal for years, and this was the first time you were watching AFTV, listening to Turkish, you'd think that Arsenal are in a crisis. His opinion is so one-sided, he says.
But if you finish 8th 2 years in a row, yeah, and your last two star men, Ozil and Oba, have left through the back door. They never lived up to their contract. I'm sorry, but we've been closer to a crisis over the past 2-3 years than we've been to success. So I just don't understand that comment. I mean, I can only speak of what I've seen, not what I hope to see. I'm tired of hoping to see something and not seeing it. So I'm now judging off what I've seen.
It's the hope that kills you, they say.
It is. I'm dead inside now.
Anand says, Kroenke's wife is more rich than him. Her family owns Walmart, which is the largest company in the world. We know he's got a lot of money. Washima says enough about the LA Rams. So he's not feeling it that at all. Arsenal are in decline, not a crisis. There's a difference, says obviously Kieran.
What do you mean? If a massive club is in decline, you're in a crisis.
No, I think he's backing you.
Oh,
well, yeah. Well,
we're in a
I guess
decline,
he's not backing you completely, but he's.
Yeah, okay. It's not. we're not in a crisis right now because we are, you know, looking at a potential top 4 finish. We're not in a crisis right now, but 3 results later, the table might look so different that we are in a crisis. So, you know, we've got to make sure we take a step back and understand that things look good this season, right? Well, not good because we're out of all cups, but things look like they could end well this season with a top 4 finish. But let's not be naive enough to think that 2-3 games ain't going to change that, or might not change. It might change it for the better. We might go and solidify our place, but it might change for the worse and, you know, go completely the other way and end up like our last 2 seasons.
Amri Nell says, speaking of business, why don't we sign Wilshere? It'll be for a free. We need to build a squad. We have a good first 11, and he's already training with Arsenal. There was more training pictures today with Jack Wilshere training. No
comment. I like Jack, but it just never worked out. You know, I mean, bringing him back would. This ain't Thierry Henry. This ain't Sol Campbell. You know, Jack Wilshere. It's a shame what happened to his career. Listen, he's been a free agent for a little while now, and no other clubs seem interested. So why would Arsenal all of a sudden do it?
ABC Productions says Gnabry would be a fantastic signing. Now, talking of Serge Gnabry, I think his contract's up in 2023 with Bayern Munich. He's been an outstanding player for them ever since he left. Yeah. Well, he went to Wolfsburg first, didn't he? Was it
Werder
Wolfsburg?
Bremen.
Werder Bremen first. Tore it up there, then they signed him, and he's been one of the best players in German football. There are rumours. And these are rumours, by the way, everybody. I mean, you have to always give these things the right credence that they deserve. But there are rumours that he could return to Arsenal. Now, I mean, that would be brilliant if it wouldn't be cheap. I think he's valued at around about 68, 70 million pounds. But he's a top quality. I think still underrated as well.
Yeah, I was about to say
for the things he's done.
Yeah, 100% underrated. It's mad that him going into the last year of his contract is going under the radar. But maybe it's not for some big clubs out there. Maybe they are making moves to talk to him. Maybe that's why he hasn't signed a contract. But I remember after the 4 goals he banged in against Tottenham a couple of years ago, I remember he said something about if he was to come back to the league, Arsenal would be the favourites. Yeah,
and he put that thing, London is red, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so if there's a chance, if there's a listen, if the Kroenkes mean what they say, and they this turnaround is real, and they want to win, because that's what he said. A quote from Josh Kroenke is, "We want to win." Then Gnabry should be a profile of player you're going for, and if he's opened the door through, you know, love for Arsenal, favourite, whatnot, then just try. If you try and fail as a fan, I'd love to see that more so than not trying at all. And I mean really try. Not spend the whole summer trying to go for one person.
But they did try and go for Vlahovic in January.
Well, so the rumours tell me.
I think they did. They did.
Then this business is not being run correctly, Rob, because if you've only got one target, how can you only have one target?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. But at least you just said, at least go. Try and get him. They definitely tried to sign Vlahovic, right? It didn't happen. He wanted to go to Juventus. That's why Juventus came all in.
Yeah.
Because they knew there was a danger that Vlahovic now could go elsewhere. So that's why they came all in for him, right? But at least they tried.
But
that's what you just said, isn't it?
Yeah, but make it.
You
make
just
sense.
said at least they tried.
But by trying, I mean like there has to. Trying to do something also means doing it smartly. If you go for a player, don't waste your whole summer or whole January after that one player. Because if it fails, then you've already said to the other teams in the league, you've already said to the fans that we've tried to plug a gap in the side, we haven't plugged it, and it could potentially hold us back this season. That's what you're saying. Every window, Arsenal go for a player that doesn't get over the line, and then we end up in the season, it costs us. The striker situation should have been sorted out last summer.
Who would you this summer? Who would you go for as a striker? We need a striker. Like you said, we need 2, maybe 3. But who would you go for?
Yeah, we need 2. All right. So if we get top 4, Lautaro Martinez, I think is a very viable option.
Oh, well, we went for him before.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't get him either.
Yeah, because Chelsea went and blew the money on Lukaku, and they made what they needed to make Inter. They're going to need to make more money this summer, and why not us with Martinez? But obviously that rests on Champions League because he's at an age now where his next move is the big move. But listen, the Diego Simeone's son, he's about 25, 26. He's doing well. I think he's at Verona now, but he's at Cagliari on loan at Verona. Patrick Schick in Germany, he's second behind Lewandowski in the goal scorers chart.
Think he'd suit us, Schick?
We need 2 strikers, Rob. So I'd like 2 different strikers, so we can change it up if need be. I feel like the problem with Oba and Laka is they're different, but they don't offer completely different things. You know, Patrick Schick is more big. He's, you know, he can hold up the ball. He's a goal scorer too. I think he's got 19 in the league, and he done well at the Euros. Whereas if you go for Amina Ghouri at Nice, he's young, 22. Nice are doing well. He's a different profile.
You've been doing your homework, haven't you?
Listen, if I don't do the homework, I don't think I do it. He's on the barbecue.
He's scouting. Go on, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, go on, keep going, man.
That's
I
Sevilla
like
one, Yusuf En-Nesyri.
Yeah, that's another
he's
good
had
one.
injury problems this year. You know what? A funny one that I'd actually go for. Timo Werner. I'd go for Timo Werner. Timo Werner, why not? Why not? Just because it didn't work out for him at Chelsea, Timo Werner's a good player. Good player.
You moan about Lacazette missing chances.
Listen, Werner's better than Lacazette. Werner's better than Lacazette.
He's not. Werner's quicker than Lacazette. He's not clinical. Why do you want to go and get another player that misses all chances?
He hasn't been clinical in the past year and a half.
Might as well have got
Chelsea.
Morata then on loan.
But before Chelsea, he was a clinical striker. That's what he was known as. Look at Fernando Torres at Liverpool. Yeah, everyone thought when he goes over to Chelsea, he's going to be the same clinical striker. Fernando Torres at Liverpool is chalk and cheese to Fernando Torres at Chelsea. Sometimes the
you
fit
go and
doesn't
spend
work.
like say a £40 million on Timo Werner, because that's what it would be. He wouldn't be cheap.
It's a player that can come in off the left and also start up top. 35 mil Werner. Yeah, I would.
Want to hear from you? Were going well, you know. You were going well with the scouting, yeah?
We need 2 strikers. We need 2 strikers.
Timo Werner.
I'll take him. Under their noses. If they're not happy with him and we can get him for cheap, you take him. This ain't a Willian, this ain't a Czech, this ain't a David Luiz. This is a player that's mid-20s. It hasn't worked out for him at Chelsea, and maybe it can work out for him at Arsenal. He's a good player, Rob. He's a good player. He's had like 15 goals disallowed since he's been at the club. He's missed multiple chances. Yes,
that's because he's always offside.
And that's on him. But I think in a better system,
if you're out there and you're backing him on now. Aaron says, let's say we finish top 4 and you're both in charge of the transfers and had a summer budget of 250 million. Who would you go for, considering we need 2 strikers, a midfielder and a right back?
Martinez so my 2 strikers that I'd like, looking at who's available, would be Martinez number 1
and the Werner.
And Werner would be a good second option, but I'd like a younger striker. If Martinez is coming in,
Werner, you know what? Listen, man, Werner.
Werner's a good player, Rob. It just hasn't worked out for him at Chelsea. It just hasn't worked out.
Timo Werner.
Yes. Do you know what he was before Chelsea, Rob? Would you have taken him before Chelsea?
Yeah, but now I've seen the light now.
Would you take Havertz? Because he hasn't done well at Chelsea. He hasn't done well.
Havertz scored a goal at 1 in the Champions League.
Yeah, but he hasn't done well.
Havertz scored a goal at 1 in the World Club Cup the other day.
But overall,
I would rather have Havertz any day than Timo Werner.
I'd agree with that.
He's not clinical.
I'd agree with that. Lukaku hasn't worked out there so far. A lot of players don't work out at big clubs, for one reason or another. Tactics, manager. Werner's a good player.
Lukaku's not on the Werner's not on the same level as Lukaku.
Would you take Lukaku?
Yeah, I'll take Lukaku.
What's he got, like 4 goals this year, 5 goals?
He scored a goal the other day in the Club Cup thing as well.
Yeah, but
Shref says, if we don't get Champions League this year, I doubt any good striker is coming. Only striker coming is one who is after money or is young and wants a chance. And he says, Gnabry isn't consistent. Well, I'd have Gnabry for sure. Maybe he's not been at his best this season, but for the last couple seasons, he's been one of the best players in Europe.
Easily.
Aaron, okay, I've done that one already. I want to see if anybody's reacting to your...
Just trying to see if you were ripping
all those people that were bigging you up, man. By the way, Perez15 says Nkunu and Jonathan David. Nkunu, remember we were trying to buy him before as well.
Yeah, David's a very good option. Young striker, why not?
BX Bully 21 says Darwin Núñez or Jonathan David.
Yep.
No, sorry, that was Charlie who said that. BX Bully 21 says Turkish smoking that loud pack.
It's still early, my guy.
Red Square says put the 70 million for Vlahovic and get St Maximin. I like St Maximin, but there's no way anyone's going to be able to get him now because he's at Moneybags Newcastle. They don't have to sell him.
Yeah.
But I do like him. Statman Stan of Stevenage says Gnabry plays in the Farmers League. Well, I'm telling you what, man, there's some good teams in that so-called Farmers League. I'll tell you what, it will turn over a lot of Premier League teams. So sorry, I'm not having that.
Pep's turned this league into pretty much what the other leagues are. One team 4 out of 5 years while winning the league, and they're running away with it this year.
Rafael Leo from Milan says, Marley, I'm not too familiar with him. David Avon says, I have a question since Robbie wouldn't take Werner. Would you take Depay the year he left Manchester United? That's different. And Depay hasn't exactly gone to Barcelona and tore it up, has he?
No, but Leo only did. So it's you know, it swings and roundabouts. It can work. It's a risk. Don't get me wrong. It's a risk. I know it's a risk. But I think if you can get a cut price Werner, because Chelsea are done with him, then you do it.
Here's someone backing you up. GXD Graphics says, remember, Salah flopped at Chelsea, Robbie.
So did De Bruyne.
Salah and Werner, yeah? You're comparing. And I'm sorry, mate. No, not having that either. Patrick Schick says, Mulak. Fimo says, I support Turkish on this one. Timo will be a great signing because it doesn't work for him at Chelsea. It does work for him at Chelsea. It doesn't make him, I think he's saying because it doesn't work for him at Chelsea, it doesn't make him a bad player. This guy was still prolific in the Bundesliga. Well, he ain't prolific now, ain't he? Right? King's the Opera says, Timo who? Timo what? Timo blood clot Werner, my brother.
There you go, troops is ready.
No, man, it don't have the same ring. It don't have the same ring. Well done, man. That's a good one. I like that one. Devanshu says, remember De Bruyne and Salah didn't work at Chelsea. So Werner,
so I'm getting support. You wanted me to get ripped in the chat. People are supporting me. I like to see it, man.
You lot out there smoking. I know it's late in the afternoon. You lot be smoking and drinking too. Werner. FCB1214 says Werner is a good shout, actually. Turkish is right. There is still quality there. He's young enough to turn his career around.
There is.
All right.
And a chip on the shoulder from Chelsea because people ripped him, you know, that could go a long way.
Young gunner, I can see them ripping us when we get him. Like that they've done with several other players, like Willian.
Right, so
Young Gunner says, if we get top 4 with a 250 million budget, we should go all out for Tielemans, Jonathan David, Osimhen and Jed Spence.
Osimhen's another good shout.
Jed Spence would be a good shout. I wouldn't mind seeing him coming in as a backup to
Tomiyasu,
challenge. Well, not even just backup, to challenge Tomiyasu.
Yeah, you know, Tavares, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's a good shout. Luke in for better name says, I think he's on about Werner here. He says, the German Theo Walcott. Now that I do see.
That's a disrespect. That's a disrespect.
Yeah, you know what? That's an accurate description.
That's a disrespect.
Very lightning quick.
Werner technically is on another level to Walcott. Technically is on another level.
Sebastian Haller is worth a gamble, says Esali. All right, what about that? If you're talking about players that come to the Premier League and failed, he's been tearing it up at Ajax, hasn't he?
Haller's a different type of striker. He's been tearing up at Ajax. But like I said, we need 2 and 2 different. Haller would be like a one side of the different coin, but he wouldn't be the side that I start. He wouldn't be my starting striker.
Johnny Martino, who's got a Chelsea avatar, he just says, laugh out loud, 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 loud. You know what I mean?
That's because he might be thinking that we can't get him off.
No, I think he's thinking we do get him. That's why he's laughing. Mohammed says, Frank Kessie, Livramento, Gravenbach, Zapata, Martial, Berardi, all for 120 million.
Gravenbach's going to be wanted by big clubs, I think, but that would be a great signing. People that he's another underrated one. But a few good names there.
Baba O says Timo Werner is trash. Come on, Turkish.
Listen, like I said, you're basing that off the last 18 months for sure. If you think Werner's trash, then it's based off of Chelsea. But you would have all taken Werner when he was leaving Leipzig. We would have all taken him. So we can't now look at the last 18 months and say he's done. Because if we were going to do that, then, Oba for the last 18 months wasn't sick, but we were still hoping for the best from him. And he was 31 years of age.
All right, Touch of Awesome said, I'd take Lukaku or Ronaldo. A young team will always be looking to pass them the ball. It will ruin our team. No, I wouldn't take, he says. I wouldn't take Lukaku or Ronaldo. Because they ruin the team, it would be all about them.
Listen, sometimes you're going to, to win stuff, you need players that are going to, hold that authority on the pitch. Every big team that's won something has players like that hold an authority on the pitch. So that's what we actually lack. We've got a good young side. The culture's changing the personnel. What we're lacking is now the experienced bodies that demand, that, that lift up the rest. We actually need a couple of those players in mind. Not Lukaku or Ronaldo, I wouldn't take either. But we need a couple of players that have that authority.
Adan says, I'm glad that Turkish is not in charge. Werner lost confidence for sure. It doesn't work on for the current Arsenal team. I'm sorry, Turkish, I can't back
Do
you.
we play like Chelsea?
I can't back you on that
We
one.
don't play like
So
Chelsea.
Werner is not
Tuchel's
clinical.
different to Arteta.
Jashar says Walcott is a better finisher than Werner.
Again, based off of the last 18 months. But based off of that, I'd agree. But if you look at his Leipzig career and before that, you would not say that.
Aaron says, bro, I'm baked right now, and I still wouldn't say Werner. Right? He said, I personally go for Jonathan David or a Broja type. Both young. One is snappy and prolific. The other is a bigger build and can bully defenders.
Just know that, okay, just know, listen, I'm not against Broja, but he scored 6 goals in 20 games this season. So it's not like people are giving me an example of a striker that's banging and saying I'd rather him. Werner just seems to be unlucky. Don't get me wrong, Arsenal, 2 strikers, there's a whole list of names there. I've just reeled them off. Just get 2 of them.
What about this argument that I've been sort of saying this in recent times, right? Is that what about not getting a striker and just going for like 3 forward players that score goals that interchange? And so I was saying, like, go and get like Rafinha from Leeds, and then you have an attacking front line almost type.
The only thing, Rafinha doesn't guarantee the amount of goals that will cover for a lack of a striker.
Score more than Werner.
Where Gnabry's the one that will score the most.
Yeah, true.
And I don't think Rafinha will score more than Werner. I really don't. I don't think he would.
Who?
Rafinha wouldn't score more than Werner.
I think he would. I think he's good. Craze says, you started a lot of this, by the way. Craze says, sign Heskey out of retirement.
Big up Emil. How can I start that? I said Werner, man, I'm saying Heskey. Don't blame me for that. Werner and Heskey. Nah, that's different.
What about this one? And this is quite an interesting one then, right? Because a lot of people have been calling for this guy. But listen to this one. Washima says, Werner is better than Isaac. It's a fact.
That's a fact, yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm not saying Isaac's not going to be a better striker or whatever else, but it's a fact that Werner, so far, is a better player, more complete even, if you ask me. He's someone that can start on the left, he's someone that can go up top. And when you've got Martinelli, who does similar, potentially Werner either comes up front, he comes on the left, Martinelli goes up top.
No, he's not. I wouldn't have Werner, man. He's not clinical enough. Bintang says, Kyoja from Celtic is proper quality. I'll tell you what, right? The Japanese players that they've got Celtic, these Japanese players, man, we've got one obviously ourselves.
It's a new wave coming
in
through.
Tomiyasu. They are. I can see a lot of clubs going to Japan this summer in the hunt for players, because they got some good ones at Celtic. The Japanese guy plays at Wolves.
Oh yeah,
He's quality as well. Tomiyasu. They've all very similar in the fact that, like, as well as having a lot of technical ability and being all really quick and strong, they're all fighters.
Yeah, efficient.
Yeah, they're all fighters, man. You know what I mean? The profile of those Japanese players, I can really see a lot of teams going over to Japan this summer. Scouts are probably out there right now. You know what I mean?
We picked Tomiyasu.
Yeah. Young Gunner says Gnabry would be proper if he returned. Also, another centre back would be needed. Mings from Villa would be a good shout.
No. Mings is done. I'm not. No. Saliba's coming back. Hopefully. Let's get over that hump first.
Oh, sorry. Someone says to me, 6FXY says Wang is Korean, not Japanese. My apologies. I thought he was. But the ones at Celtic, the Celtic guys, they're the Japanese ones. They are good. This has turned into a bit of a transfer free-for-all here, because JK says, Robbie, I would raid Brighton for Basuma, Lamptey and Cucurella for £130 million.
Maybe not Cucurella, but yeah, the other 2 I'd go for.
Yeah. Boss says, I'm agreeing with Turkish. Kroenke doesn't care for us. The way he talk about Arsenal is like we are a side dish for the LA Rams Nuggets. They are the main dish.
It's not even a side dish, it's like with a drink, because the side dish is nuggets, and then the coleslaw is bloody avalanche, and then we're like the tap water on the side.
Oh dear.
The dip.
Astoja says, trust me, Alexander Mitrovic.
Oh, no. The guy that bangs in the Championship, as soon as he comes up, he just, falls flat on his face.
He's always, I said this a couple of seasons ago, I said, I would have signed Mitrovic as a second striker because he's a big physical guy. You can bring him off the bench. He's good in the air, hold up. Even when he was in the Premier League, he was good at that.
Yeah, a few years ago.
He's not your main guy, but
A few years ago, I would have entertained that. But even if you look at Tony this year, banged in the Championship, but when you step up a level, not so much. And that's what it comes down to. We're at this level.
You wouldn't have Ivan Toney then?
Nah. Don't get me wrong. As a plan B, a plan C, yes. But as the season's gone on, it's looking less and less likely.
All right, Young Gunner says Turkish is right about the Kroenkes. We won't make major steps to getting back to the top with this ownership.
Facts.
Karim Adeyemi says Rubes. He's the guy at Salzburg, isn't he?
Adeyemi.
Yeah, Adeyemi. He's a good player.
Yeah.
I think it looks like he's going to be heading to Dortmund. They seem to be.
They're looking to get it done early.
Hassan says Tukameni or Ward-Prowse.
Both.
I like Ward-Prowse, Can you think of a player who's got a better delivery in the Premier League than Ward-Prowse?
No. I said Ward-Prowse last year. People tried to laugh at me. You should have got rid of Xhaka, bring one in, and Ward-Prowse, English, knows the league, set piece taker, bang.
Touch of Awesome says Declan Rice and Harry Kane. Yeah, right. I like Declan Rice, man. He's a proper player.
Trust me, in an ideal world, if we're sitting here, Rob, and it's 2004, 2005, 2006, we're looking at those players. We're saying bring in Rice and Gnabry. But, it's laughable.
And they'd want to come.
Yeah, it's laughable now because of how far we've fallen. That's ideal. In an ideal world, do you think I want to be talking about Werner? I don't want to be talking about Werner, but the way Arsenal are set up is that we're going to have to do things like that to make it make sense.
Carlos says Richarlison would bang in a better side. He should be the second choice down the middle. I'd take Richarlison.
He's actually a good shout.
He's a much better player than Werner, I'll tell you that.
It's just that Everton spent, 40 on him, so they're going to look for maybe 60, 70, 80 mil for him.
Yeah, well, forget that. But I like him, though. I think he's a very... I agree with what that guy said. I think if he was in a better team,
he's got fire. He's got determination.
He's good. And he's good in the air. He's a good finisher.
Yeah, pace.
Bit of
trickery.
Right, I'm going to do a few more before we round it up. We started off with Broja and Gnabry, and then the revelation about Timo Werner. It's just sent it south, right? It's sent it south here. But I've been surprised quite, I wouldn't say everybody, but quite a few people backing you on that, on the Werner thing. Well, a few.
Just shocked, you don't even know what to say.
A few, maybe not a lot.
Watch Robbie in the summer. Hi people, welcome back to Transfer Daily, where, we're going to be talking about Werner to Arsenal. I'm going to jump in that stream.
Seriously, if we signed Werner, could you imagine the meltdown of fans?
Rob, we've signed Willian and we didn't melt down. I doubt this fan base will melt down.
No, but that's different. Because this summer we got...
Yeah, that's worse.
As I said, this summer we got a lot of money to spend. Timo Werner.
We're not getting Kylian Mbappe, Rob, so...
Yeah, I know,
we need...
Jesus, man. Werner.
Rob, trust me. In 2 years, wherever Werner goes next, I'm sure he'll regain his form.
Right. Hurry Up G says, if they're truly ambitious and want me to be excited, I expect a minimum of four players this summer, all 50 to 60 million pound each. Of that, if not, they're not really ambitious.
Yeah, it's a mix of high spend and wise spend. That's what it is. It's not every big player that comes in for big money and works. Look at Pepe, 72 million, it didn't work. But it's about, making it make sense. Look at Salah, 30 million, it worked a hell of a lot. So it's about being shrewd, scouting well.
Ant says, fans had a meltdown over Ramsdale.
Yeah.
With a shrug his shoulders emoji.
Yeah.
So...
True.
Will Rickett says, Robbie and Turkish, what are your thoughts on Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
Too many magazine shoots for me.
What's that got to do with what he does on the pitch?
Focus. I need your focus on football. I don't want you thinking about your GQ shoot on Monday morning. I want you focused on football. And I'm done with all of that. I don't want none of that nonsense. If we start winning again, challenging, then you guys do what you want. But at this moment in time, I don't want no fashionistas. I don't want no one with their eye off the ball. And yeah.
I'd love to see you as the manager, man. You'd be falling out with more people than Arteta.
If I was manager and I see my striker, come in and I'm looking at a picture of him wearing what he was wearing, I'm gonna look at him and be like, bro, you're on your last warning.
What, the dress, when he had that dress thing on?
The handbag thing.
The handbag.
My guy, last warning.
Fashionista, man. My daughter told me you look wicked.
Yeah, that's this 2022, but disciplinary for me. That's it. None of that nonsense.
So if you signed him, if you sign Calvert-Lewin, you say to him,
you're coming in tracksuit every day. No messing about. Tracksuit every day. Tierney, make sure you tell him what he needs to do.
And he wouldn't be allowed no photo shoots.
Imagine you got Tierney with a Tesco bag, and you have Calvert-Lewin with the brand new women's Gucci bag. Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. Nah, I'll take more Tierneys, please.
Oh my God, it's just me. If we get Champions League, we can get Haaland with agent Odegaard, says SM26. Well, I very much doubt that. And Kaka says, Turkish is bang on. You guys might win something if he's in charge. And Craze calls him Dominic Calvert-Bellerin.
Yes. You won the chat today. You won the chat.
Ash said, would love to see Werner at Arsenal. He's got all the attributes, and a change of club could make the difference. Big up Don Robbie and Turkish. I'm really surprised. I have to admit, it's about 50-50. People be Timo Werner, nah, man, I'm not having it, man. He's not clinical enough. I've watched that guy. You know what? Even before he came to Chelsea, I remember watching him in I think it was a Europa League game or Champions League game against Tottenham. And he missed about 2 easy chances in that game as well. Nah, it's not clinical for me, man. Yao Felix, Brennan's saying over there.
I loved Felix.
He's really skillful. I'm not sure. Premier League, physical. He doesn't seem physical, does he?
He's another one that hasn't really kicked on at Atletico, but he's a quality player.
He's had a stinker at Atletico, really, when you think the amount of money they paid for him. AFC Cape Town. He wanted us to start a poll for Werner, but unfortunately we're right at the end of the show. But maybe when we do the next live, we'll have to get that one going, all right? So, and Rube says, tell them Robbie Werner. Anyway, listen, we've come to the end of the show. It's been a brilliant debate. What do you guys think? Broja at Arsenal, would that be a good shout? Serge Gnabry returning. I think universally, I think all of us would be up for that, but these are very loose rumours at the moment. Or what about Timo Werner? The revelation coming today from Turkish, right, that he would like to see Timo Werner at Arsenal in the summer. I really want to hear from you guys. Would you be up for it? Do a poll anyway. When we can do the next live. We'll do a poll in the community thing, yeah. Right, because I'd love to find out, because that was a real one out of the blue today. I wasn't expecting that, right?
I ain't letting this club get away with it this summer. I've got a list of strikers we can sign. I got a list of midfielders we can sign. At the end of the summer, if this club don't do the business, I'm going to turn around to everyone that tells me, who could we have signed? We went for this one. There was no one else. I'm going to bring out both these lists. There's the list.
Do you know what? Who we I want you to do? I want you to prepare your list, right? And we're going to do a show based off of that.
Cool.
Turkish's list. Of signings. We're going to do that show. Yeah? No, we'll get that show done, right? And then you guys can comment on it. But thank you very much for watching today. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV. Like this video as well. We'll be back tomorrow. It's got some great videos coming out tomorrow. Look out for Talk is Cheap. I was a guest on it today with Laurie. We were discussing again the whole Josh Kroenke interview. It's a real eye-opener, that interview. So if you want to find out more about that, make sure you check that out. Talk is Cheap, which is going to be out tomorrow morning here on AFTV, so make sure you check it out. And also, we've got a great superfan debate where we sat down with the owners with fans of West Ham, Manchester United, and Tottenham, and of course, Turkish was on it for Arsenal. And we asked the question: who's got are our owners taking us back? Who's got the worst owners? You got to watch that. That is fire. All right, so that's out right now as well on AFTV. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.